The boy who loved football. There was a boy named Amir. He was 10 years old and loved football. He lived in an old town with many tourists. His family was poor, so he played on a dusty field with his friends. They had no real football, only a small old ball. Every afternoon, Amir ran to the field. He played with all his heart. He dreamed of becoming a great player. But he knew it was not easy. His parents could not pay for football school. Still, he never gave up. One day, while playing, he saw some tourists watching. They held cameras and smiled. Amir did not stop. He played his best. He dribbled, passed, and scored a goal. The tourists clapped and cheered. After the game, one of them walked to Amir. "You are very good," the man said. Amir smiled but did not understand English well. His friend translated for him. The man asked, "Do you want to be a real football player?" Amir's eyes shone with hope. "Yes," he said. The man nodded and took out his phone. He recorded a video of Amir. "Maybe I can help," he said. Amir's heart beat fast. Was this his chance? The next day, Amir went to the field early. He kept thinking about the tourist. Would he really help, or was it just a dream? He didn't know, but he kept playing. Football was his life. A week passed and nothing happened. Amir started to lose hope. But then one evening the tourist returned. This time he was not alone. Another man was with him. He wore a sports jacket and had a serious face. The man watched as Amir played. Amir felt nervous, but he did his best. He dribbled past his friends, kicked the ball high and scored again. The man nodded and spoke to the tourist. Then he walked toward Amir. "You have talent," the man said. His voice was deep. "I work with a football academy. Would you like to train with us?" Amir's heart raced. "Really?" he asked. He looked at his friends. They all watched in silence. No one in their town had ever gone to a real academy. The man smiled. "Yes, but we need your parents' permission." Amir ran home as fast as he could. He told his parents everything. His mother was worried. His father stayed quiet. After a long silence, his father spoke. "It is your dream," he said. "Go and try." Amir could not believe it. He hugged his parents tightly. The next morning he packed his small bag. A new journey was about to begin. Amir sat in the car with the coach and the tourist. He looked outside as they left his small town. The roads were long and dusty. His heart beat fast. He had never travelled far from home before. After hours of driving, they arrived at the academy. It was huge. There were big fields, tall buildings, and many young players training. Amir felt small, but he was excited. The coach took him inside. "You will stay here and train every day," he said. Amir nodded. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted to make his family proud. The first day was hard. The other players were fast and strong. Amir tried his best, but he made mistakes. The coach watched him closely. That night, Amir lay in his bed. He missed his home. He missed playing with his friends. But he knew he had to be strong. He had to keep going. The next morning, training started again. Amir worked harder. He listened to the coach, ran faster, and practiced more. Slowly, he improved. He started scoring goals. He felt stronger. One day, the coach called him. "Amir, you are getting better," he said. "If you keep working hard, you can play in big matches." Amir smiled. This was just the beginning. Weeks passed and Amir trained every day. He woke up early, ran for hours, and practiced with the ball until his legs hurt. He wanted to be the best. One day the coach gathered all the players. "Next week we have an important match," he said. "The best players will be chosen to play." Amir's heart raced. This was his chance. He had to prove himself. During practice, he worked harder than ever. He dribbled fast, passed well, and scored goals. The other players noticed him. Even the coach smiled when he played. The night before the match, Amir couldn't sleep. He thought about his family. He wished they could see him play. He promised himself he would not fail. The day of the match arrived. The stadium was big, and many people were watching. Amir stood with his team, nervous but ready. The game started. Amir ran across the field, passing and shooting. The other team was strong, but Amir didn't give up. He wanted to win. Then the ball came to him. He saw the goal and took a deep breath. This was his moment. He kicked the ball hard. It flew through the air. The ball flew past the goalkeeper and into the net. The crowd cheered. Amir had scored. His teammates ran to him, shouting with joy. He couldn't believe it. His hard work was paying off. The game continued, and Amir played with all his heart. He passed, defended, and ran faster than ever. When the final whistle blew, his team had won. The coach clapped and called Amir over. "You played very well," he said. "I have good news. A scout from a famous club was watching you today. He wants to meet you." Amir's eyes widened. "Me?" he asked, hardly believing it. The coach nodded. "Yes, this is your chance, Amir." That evening, Amir met the scout. The man smiled and said, "You have great talent. We want you to train with our academy." Amir felt his heart race. This was his dream. He thought about his family, his village, and all the struggles he had faced. Now he had a real opportunity to become a professional football player. Tears filled his eyes, but he smiled. "Thank you," he said. "I will not waste this chance." Amir packed his small bag. His family stood around him, proud and happy. His mother hugged him tightly. "Work hard, my son," she said. "This is just the beginning." His father placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember where you came from. Stay humble." Amir nodded. He promised to make them proud. The next day he travelled to the city. The academy was huge. The fields were green, and the players were strong and fast. Training was difficult. Amir pushed himself every day. He listened to the coaches, learned new skills, and never gave up. Months passed. One day the coach called him. "Amir, you are ready. Next week you will play your first professional match." Tears filled Amir's eyes. He had made it. The little boy from a small village was now a real football player. As he stood on the field before the match, he looked at the sky and smiled. "This is for my family, my friends, and my village," he whispered. Then the whistle blew and the game began.